Okay, so I had my wallet stolen, and this is the first time I've ever had that happen. Basically, a customer came in, and this is going to be about how you end up going against your gut. Now, everybody says never go against your gut, but I feel like there's an anatomy to every decision. There's a reason why you went against your gut, and it needs to be explored. Most of the time, it's because people pressure you into doing it. It's not just you just second guessing yourself, even though sometimes it is just you just second guessing yourself. But here's how this happened. This is the anatomy of how I got my wallet stolen, and also the anatomy of how I almost got mugged while I was waiting for a ride. And so it goes like this. For one, there's three things that happen beforehand. One, I don't ever pick up somebody who is asking for a line. Most of the time I'd never do that, right? And a line is basically like a carpool, and they pay like a cheaper price, and it's supposed to be good for the driver because there's another person who that you can pick up during the ride, and you drop them both off, and you make fares from both people. You feel me? So that's normally supposed to be good for the driver, but during the middle of the day or out in like the boonies or something like that, they don't have a lot of people using the carpool features on these apps, so they get a cheap ride. You just basically get robbed. So all right, so that's cool. You know what I mean? I never really do it, but Lyft, like Uber doesn't care anymore, but Lyft still cares about how many people you're turning away, and so on and so forth. I think maybe it's because they have less drivers or something like that. But so they really care about it, and what happens is you end up getting pressure to take these rides. Now, the next thing is, so that's the first pressure that I got that made me second guess myself later on. All right, so the second thing that happened. Now, I had to kick somebody out of my car before, as far as when I was driving for Lyft. They had the wrong name on the app, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if I trust this person. And he was going to work and everything, and I'm thinking that he probably stole somebody's identity. And so even when he told me that he had a different name, I was still going to drive him. But then randomly, I got a call from the number like that the customer is supposed to be calling from, and I don't know why this happens. I can't figure this out. But like whenever that they have the wrong name up there, all of a sudden they end up calling me, but it's not from their phone. You know what I mean? Somebody else calls me, and then I pick up, and then nobody's answering it. Nobody says anything, and then I try to call the number back, and then it doesn't pick up. You know what I mean? Or it keeps saying app error. So this happens, so I kicked the guy out of my car, right? And before he got out of my car, he gave me this huge fight. You know what I mean? Like we were about to get into like fisticuffs, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to take me back? I ain't going for that." You know what I mean? So he's getting really aggressive, and eventually, like what ended up happening, how that situation got resolved is I just drove. I just kept driving straight, and I didn't turn back. I didn't turn towards where he was gonna go, and I just basically did that to let him think. You know what I mean? I knew he was a young guy and he was talking emotionally, and I know that at the end of the day, nothing good is gonna come out of it. Eventually, you know what I'm saying, the police can get involved. You know what I mean? So he knows that. So I just gave him time to think, and eventually he was like, "Oh, you know what? Pull over right here." And he got out the car, but he gave me this huge fight. You know what I mean? Like it was really bad. It was actually kind of scary. You know what I mean? So so in this situation, the same thing happens. I'm picking up this guy that I wouldn't normally pick up, because he's asking for a line in a place that I know nobody else is going to be doing that. And then he has a different name up on the account. So I'm like, I don't know who this person is, but I'm scared that Lyft's gonna, you know what I mean? So anyway, and I get the call. I get the call randomly while I'm doing it. So I'm feeling like there's something going on with this thing where how they steal somebody's account, or I don't know what it is, but something fishy is going on. So that's the pressure. The pressure was the other guy giving me a huge fight about it rather than just getting out of the car. So I just didn't feel I wasn't up for the fight. So I was thinking that, okay, we only have a few more miles left, and he's going to a house, so I'll just drop him off and I'll just charge to the game. If he scams me, if he's not the right person, then whatever. I just didn't want to get into it because I didn't know, like, a lot of times you don't know what this person's carrying, who this person is, and you don't really want to get into it with somebody you don't know and he's bigger than you or something like that. And then you're like, you know what I mean? Now the situation can get dangerous, you know what I mean? It can get dangerous, especially if you're in a situation where there's no place to park where there's a lot of people around. And that was another reason why I didn't stop and just park, because we would have been like in a kind of a solitary area if I would have just stopped there. So anyway, so I was like, and that was another thing. Maybe I should have just stopped it. So the final thing, or the final pressure that pushed me in a situation to go against my gut, was whenever I turn around, I don't know what it is about my face. I don't know, but people will give me bad like vibes and bad looks. Like, don't look at me. And I know that sounds weird, but like, even when I'm looking to, change lanes and I'm checking to see if the lanes closed, like, people like, look at, like, give me like a little thing with their eyes, squint their eyes at me, and it's clear. Like, I know it sounds like maybe I'm, being weird about it myself, but they're sending me signals to not look at them. Like, don't look at me. And it's like, even though they know I'm checking the lane, they're like treating it as if I'm just turning around and staring at them. And I'm not. But they'll send me those signals. So on a subconscious level, I stop doing certain things like that. Like, I only turn around if I have to. So how that played out in this situation, the guy was moving around. He moved around twice in a really weird way, right? He moved around, and I feel as though I had my wallet in my lap. It fell into the floor, and as I was accelerating, it slid into the back seat. You know what I mean? And he was trying to grab it, but he couldn't get it the first time because he thought I was going to turn around. And then the second time, he reached and grabbed it and got it. And normally, whenever anybody moves, like I said, I turn around. I'm like snapping my head, like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, especially with all this stuff going on and with the app and all this, I would have turned around and tried to figure out and looked at what he's reaching for, or I would have even caught him in the act. You know what I'm saying? Like, as he's doing it. But I didn't turn around, and so he got my wallet, bro. He stole my stuff, and as he's getting out the car, like, he smiled at me in a weird way. Like, that's how I know it was him. Like, because he gave me like the duper's delight thing, like where they smile after they gotten away with something. And he kind of like tried to turn his head, like he was trying to make me not see the smile. So I was just like, okay, this dude definitely did something, but I don't know what it is. And I felt like I had my wallet still in my pocket, and I didn't. So he got my stuff. I know where he is. Like, I know where he lives. You know what I mean? I know where I dropped him off. It's still in my phone. And he probably thinks that I had so many customers, I was going to figure it out until later and not know who did what. But I know specifically it was him. I only had one other customer. And the other guy, he got into a car accident. I picked him up from the scene, and he was riding in the back, and he was talking to his mom. And he was like so like focused on the car accident, and his mom was telling him to go back to the scene and things like that. And it's hard to steal somebody's wallet while you're talking to your mom. Like, I know some people do it. And another thing that was really important was the guy, I was dropping him off at work. And I felt like the other guy, the guy who stole my wallet, he looked like he didn't have a job. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why I think it was him. But it was him, bro. Like, you guys know, like, I know it was him, bro. But there's just no way to do anything about it. Like, I can't prove it because I don't have a camera. Like, if that would have solved everything. If I would just have a camera in my car, it would solve everything. But I don't, and something I'm gonna get now. But that's how, like, you start making mistakes. It's not just you second guessing yourself or thinking a certain way. It's the fact that people are kind of treating you in a way, or maneuvering you, and basically giving you bad feedback. And that's what Lyft was doing, and saying like I'm canceling too much, and then now I'm just putting myself in a bad situation, just letting my guard completely down. So anyway, now I have to handle that. Now, another example of somebody maneuvering you in a way of going against your gut is going back to the whole feedback thing. Now, whenever I like let people into my car, when I'm picking them up, I don't just let them into my car. I never just let them into my car. I always, I wouldn't say never. I've done it a few times where I'm gonna touch on that later, but I always have my door locked, and when they come to the car, I roll it down just a little bit and I ask them for the name. You know what I mean? Like who ordered the ride or whatever, and if they get the right name, then I unlock the door and let them in. But people don't like that. Like they have a bad attitude and look at you weird, and you could just tell like they're like, I, how you, obviously it's me, and they take it personally, and it sounds petty and stupid, but it'll show through in your ratings because Uber has like different categories. When you rate somebody, they ask you to select a category, and one of them is pickup. So whenever I do ask that, like sometimes I'll get like bad ratings, and they'll say because of the pickup, and the only thing that could have went wrong is that I asked them before they got into the car. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm late. Like 99.9% of the time I'm on time. There's nothing wrong with the pickup. You know what I mean? It's just stuff like that they'll be real. So anyway, 2 days ago, and this is crazy. So I got my wallet stolen yesterday, and then the day before that, I'm chilling. Not really chilling. I was sitting downtown, and I'm about to go back online, but I have both my apps off. I have my Uber and my Lyft app, and I'm waiting just because just to get a breather for a second. I think I'm eating something or something like that, and randomly this guy, he comes from behind the car. Now when I'm waiting, I always have my rear view mirror in a position where even when I'm reclined or leaning back in my chair, I can still see who's behind me, and I can still see who's in front of me. So this guy tries to come behind me, and he did it so smooth and so quickly that I almost didn't see him. You know what I'm saying? And he slips to the seat where who are getting picked up would normally get into, and he jiggles the handle, and I'm like, I know I have my apps off, so I know that this isn't, somebody that I'm supposed to be picking up. So then he jiggles the handle and he starts slapping the door like let me in, you know, as if he's the customer. He's trying to impersonate the customer. And so I didn't let him in, and I drove off. But that's the type of stuff that you have to worry about, is that you run into people um who could be dangerous. So if I'm sitting up here and I have my door unlocked, as soon as I see somebody, I unlock my door and they hop in, and then I ask them, what their name is, then I'm already in a position where I'm not in a position of power anymore. You get what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I don't do that. Like, I always roll down the window. Now imagine if I did have my apps on and I would have just seen somebody and just unlocked the door, and he would have hopped in, and then now I have a problem, like this guy didn't even seem like he was just going to steal a ride. You know what I mean? Like he seemed like he was about to mug me or try to steal my car or rob me. That's what the way he was moving. Normally, because I've had somebody hop in the car and try to steal a ride, and they don't sneak up on the car. They just walk up to it. A lot of times they'll look confused because at first they don't know what's going on, and then they walk up and they basically try to act like they're the customer. But just the way this guy approached it and how he looked, I could tell like he was up to no good at all. And I would have had this guy in my car if I would have let them pressure me into going against my gut. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's basically what happened. A lot of people were staring, and he tried to play it off like look at his phone as if he had ordered some Uber or something like that. And, you know, it was what it was. He could have robbed me. But even then, all right, so even if I would have had my apps on, I would have been safe because I would have just rolled down the window and asked him first, which is what you're supposed to do. That's what Uber teaches you. But again, you have people that will have you go against your training just because they're petty and they think the world revolves around them. They're thinking that it's personal, like, oh, he's being difficult, and then you get bad ratings, and then next thing you know, you're putting yourself in a position because you're like, oh, I got to change something, and then boom, now you're getting mugged. So that's the anatomy of going against your gut. It's not just you being your confidence. It's not just that. It's the situations. It's the pressure, the outside pressure. A lot of times you know the right thing to do, but the outside pressure gets you. And I'm writing a book, so it should be out within the next couple of days, the next 3 days. And I want you guys to buy it because I lost a lot of my YouTube money. I just got my money stolen, bro. And I'm trying to replace that. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish it, and it's all hot fire. It's like all hot fire, dude. Like, it's one of the best books on the subject. I'm putting it on Amazon and everything. Like, it's gonna be like the real deal. So that's coming out in my website. So be on the lookout for that. And that's all I got. Peace.